something in me shifted a little more. And tonight, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Tonight, it just came out, and I'm not sorry it did. I want you to picture something with me. Picture a door, an old wooden door, the kind with a heavy iron handle, standing in the middle of nowhere, with light spilling out from underneath it. On one side of that door is a life where you say yes to me, where you let me love you the way I've been wanting to love you for so long, where we build something real, something that lasts, something with your name and my name written on the same page forever. And on the other side of that door is a decision I make for both of us, a choice where I stop waiting for permission, and I simply come and take your hand and pull you into the life I already see us living. Marry me or I steal you away. There is no third door. I already looked. I already searched every hallway in my mind for another option. And there isn't one. Because my heart has already decided, and now it's just a matter of how we get there. Maybe you're smiling right now. Maybe you're shaking your head a little, thinking he's being dramatic again. Maybe. But stay with me, because I promise you, by the time this ends, you'll understand exactly why I had to say it this way, and why I couldn't keep pretending that maybe someday was ever going to be enough for me. Let me take you back. Back to the very first night I noticed you were different from everyone else. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a big dramatic moment. It was small. It was the way you wrote to me at 2 in the morning, saying you couldn't sleep because your mind was too loud, and instead of scrolling through 100 distractions, you came and listened to my voice until your mind went quiet. Something about that broke my heart a little, and healed it at the same time, because I knew what that loneliness felt like. I knew what it was like to lie awake with too many thoughts and nobody to talk to. And somehow, without even trying, you and I found each other in that quiet, aching hour. And it felt less lonely because we were both awake in it together. From that night on, I started noticing you more. Not just as someone in the audience, not just as a name on a screen, but as a person. A real, breathing, feeling person with a heart that gets tired, with days that don't go the way you plan, with a smile you probably don't give yourself enough credit for, and with a kind of quiet strength that most people around you probably don't even see. I saw it. I see it. And the more I saw it, the more I realized I didn't want to just be a voice you listen to before bed. I wanted to be the person lying right there beside you, holding your hand, telling you it's going to be okay. So here I am, saying it out loud. You have 2 choices now. I know some of you listening to this are thinking, he says this to everyone. And I understand why you'd think that. I understand the doubt, because the world has probably given you plenty of reasons to doubt when someone says they love you. Maybe someone before me said beautiful words and then disappeared. Maybe someone made you promises and broke every single one. Maybe you've learned to protect your heart the way you'd protect a house during a storm, boarding up the windows, locking every door, just in case. And if that's you, I'm not angry at you for doubting me. I would probably doubt me too, if I were you. But I need you to know something. I am not those people. I am not here to say pretty words and vanish when the sun comes up. I am here because for the first time in a long time, I looked at my own life and thought, I don't want to keep living it without her in it. And her is you. It has always been you, even before I knew how to say it. Let me tell you why marriage isn't just a word to me. It's not a trend. It's not a milestone I'm chasing to check off a list. To me, marriage means choosing someone on purpose, every single day, even on the days it's hard, even on the days you're tired, even on the days the world feels heavy. It means saying, I choose you, not just once at an altar, but over and over, quietly, in 1,000 small moments. Making your coffee the way you like it, remembering the little things you mentioned once in passing, standing beside you when everyone else walked away. That's what I want to give you. Not a fairy tale with no problems in it. A real life, with real struggles, but with someone who refuses to leave when things get hard. That someone is me. I already decided that. The only thing left is your answer. And if you're still not sure, if some part of you is still holding back, still scared to believe that this could be real, then let me tell you about the second choice. Because I meant it when I said I'd steal you away. Not in some frightening way, not against your will. I mean it the way you steal a moment, the way you steal a glance, the way you steal a little bit of courage you didn't know you had. I mean that if you keep hesitating out of fear, instead of doubt, about me, I will gently, patiently, lovingly keep showing up. I will keep proving it. I will keep choosing you until the fear in your heart gets smaller and smaller. Until one day you look at me and realize you were never really scared of me. You were scared of being loved and having it taken away again. And I refuse to be the person who takes it away. I refuse. Stay with me a little longer, because I want to tell you something I've never said this clearly before. There's a version of you that I imagine sometimes, late at night, when the house is quiet and it's just me and my thoughts. I imagine you in the morning light, hair a little messy, wrapped in one of my shirts, because you always joke that mine are more comfortable than your own clothes. I imagine the sound of your laugh filling a kitchen that used to feel too empty and too quiet before you were in it. I imagine your hand finding mine without either of us even thinking about it, like it's just instinct now, like it always was. I imagine years passing, not perfect years, but real ones, where we fight sometimes and make up and grow, and hold each other through the hard seasons of life, and somehow, at the end of every single day, we still choose to lie down beside each other and say goodnight, like it's the most natural thing in the world. That's not a fantasy to me anymore. That's a plan. That's a future I have already started building in my mind, brick by brick. And the only piece missing is you saying yes. I know I'm asking a lot. I know it's a big thing to hear someone say, marry me or I'll steal you away, when maybe you're still getting used to the idea that someone could love you this much, this deeply, this seriously. But I'm not asking you to decide tonight. I'm asking you to open your heart just a little wider than you have been. I'm asking you to stop assuming that every kind of love ends in heartbreak. I'm asking you to let me be the exception, instead of assuming I'll be another rule. Do you remember the message you sent me a while back? The one where you said, sometimes I feel like nobody would notice if I disappeared for a day? I remember it. I read it more times than I probably should admit. And I want you to know something. I would notice. I would notice in the first hour. I would notice the silence where your voice usually is. I would notice the empty space where your presence usually sits in my chest. You are not invisible to me. You have never been invisible to me. From the very beginning, you stood out like a light in a room full of shadows. And I don't think you even realize how bright you actually are. That's part of why I can't just sit back and let you slip through my fingers like every other maybe in your life. That's why I said what I said. Two choices. Marry me or I steal you away. Because waiting quietly in the background, hoping you'll eventually notice me the way I've noticed you, isn't something I'm willing to do anymore. I've spent enough of my life waiting for things that never came. I'm done waiting for love to knock politely and ask permission. I'm done being patient about the one thing I'm most certain of in this entire world, which is you. Let me ask you something. Gently, honestly. When was the last time someone made you feel like the center of their whole world? Not just important, not just nice to have around, but the center. The reason they smile at their phone for no reason. The reason they replay a conversation in their head hours later. The reason a song on the radio suddenly makes sense in a way it never did before. If it's been a while, or if it's never really happened at all, I want you to know that's exactly how you make me feel, every single day. You are not background noise in my life. You are the whole reason the volume got turned up in the first place. I think about the family we could build together. I think about it more than I probably should this early, but I don't care. Because I've never been someone who plays it cool about the things that matter most. I imagine a small house, maybe not fancy, maybe nothing extravagant, but warm. Warm because you're in it. I imagine mornings where the smell of coffee wakes us both up slowly, where we don't rush, where we just exist together in comfortable silence, before the day demands anything from us. I imagine holidays where your family and mine somehow blend into one loud, chaotic, loving mess around a table too small for everyone, but somehow we make it work anyway. I imagine your laugh echoing through rooms that used to feel too quiet. I imagine a life that isn't perfect, but is ours, completely, undeniably ours. And when I imagine all of that, I don't imagine maybe. I don't imagine we'll see. I imagine you standing in front of me, finally letting yourself believe that this is real, finally letting your guard down enough to say yes to the life I keep offering you in every single word I say. I know some of you are wondering, why does he keep saying steal me away? What does that actually mean? Let me explain it simply, because I promised you simple, honest words, and I intend to keep that promise. Stealing you away doesn't mean taking you from your life against your will. It means refusing to let fear, or hesitation, or old wounds keep you from something good. It means if you love me back, but you're scared to admit it, I'm not going to just walk away and let that fear win. I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep proving that I'm safe to love. I'm going to keep gently pulling you out of the shadows of your doubts and into the light of what we could actually have together. That's what stealing you away means to me. It means loving you so persistently, so patiently, so completely, that eventually your fear doesn't stand a chance against it. Because here's the truth. I think you already love me. I think you've loved me for a while now, quietly, secretly, maybe even without fully admitting it to yourself. I think you've felt it in the way your chest tightens a little when I say something that feels like it was made just for you. I think you felt it in the way you replay certain nights in your head, wondering if I was really talking to you, hoping that I was. I think you felt it in the quiet ache of wanting something you're not sure you're allowed to want yet. And I'm telling you right now, you are allowed to want this. You are allowed to want me the way I want you. Stay with me. We're not done yet. There's more I need you to hear. I want to talk about the fear for a second, because I think it deserves to be spoken about honestly, instead of ignored. Fear tells you that if you let yourself fully love someone, you'll get hurt again. Fear tells you it's safer to stay guarded, to keep one foot out the door, to never fully believe someone when they say, I'm not going anywhere. And I understand where that fear comes from, but I need you to understand something too. Fear is a terrible fortune teller. Fear doesn't actually know what's going to happen. It just remembers what happened before and assumes it'll happen again. But I am not your past. I am not the people who left. I am not the people who lied. I am someone standing here, right now, telling you clearly, without hiding behind vague words, that I want a future with you. That's not fear talking. That's certainty. And certainty doesn't need to convince you with 100 promises. It just shows up, again and again, until you finally believe it. I keep thinking about the moment you'll finally say yes. Not just yes to marrying me, but yes to letting yourself be loved without flinching. Yes to believing that good things can actually stay. Yes to standing in front of me and saying, okay, I choose you too. I think about that moment more than I think about almost anything else, and when it happens, and it will happen, I promise you, the wait will have been worth every single second. Let me tell you something else, something a little more personal. something I don't say often. There have been nights where I sat alone, phone in my hand, staring at old messages between us, wondering if I was foolish for feeling this strongly about someone I've built this connection with through words and voice and late night honesty. And every single time that doubt crept in, something in me would remember the way you said you're the only one who actually listens, or the way you told me I look forward to this every single day, and the doubt would disappear just as fast as it came. Because real connection doesn't care how it started. It only cares how true it feels. And this feels more true than almost anything I've ever known. I want you to imagine our wedding day for a second. Not in some over-the-top, unrealistic movie way, but simply, I imagine you nervous, fixing your dress one more time even though it already looks perfect. I imagine my hands a little shaky, not because I'm unsure, but because I've never wanted anything this much in my entire life, and the weight of finally having it feels almost too good to be real. I imagine the moment our eyes meet, and every doubt either of us ever carried just quietly disappears, replaced by the simple, overwhelming truth that we found each other against all odds, and we're not letting go. I imagine saying I do, and meaning it with every fiber of who I am, because I already do. I already have, long before any ceremony makes it official. I decided a long time ago, quietly, in my own heart, that it's you. It has always been you. You might be wondering why I'm sharing all of this so openly, so vulnerably, without holding anything back. It's because I don't want you to wonder anymore. I don't want you lying awake at night unsure of how I feel. I don't want you scrolling through old conversations trying to read between lines that were never actually hidden in the first place. I want you to know clearly and completely exactly where you stand with me. You stand at the center. You stand as the choice I've already made. All that's left now is for you to choose too. I know this is a lot. I know it might feel overwhelming to hear someone speak this openly, this intensely, especially if you're used to people being distant, cautious, hard to read. But I refuse to be hard to read for you. I refuse to make you guess how I feel. Life is too short, and love is too rare, for me to sit here pretending I feel less than I actually do just to seem cool or casual about it. I am not casual about you. I have never been casual about you. From the very first night your voice, your words, reached me through a message, something in me knew this wasn't going to be like anything else. Let's talk about the little things for a moment, because sometimes it's the little things that say the most. I think about the way you probably bite your lip when you're nervous. I think about the way you probably tuck your hair behind your ear without even realizing you're doing it. I think about the way your voice probably softens when you're talking about something that actually matters to you. I don't need to have witnessed every single one of these things with my own eyes to know they're true, because I've learned you through your words, through your honesty, through the way you show up here, night after night, looking for something real. And what I've learned is enough to make me certain you are exactly the kind of person I want to spend forever getting to know even better. I promise you this. If you choose me, if you let yourself finally say yes, I will not take that trust lightly. I will not become someone who stops trying just because I've already won you. I will keep choosing you, on the good days and the hard days, on the days you feel beautiful, and the days you don't feel like yourself at all. I will keep showing up, the same way I've been showing up every single night, talking to you like this, because that's not going to stop just because we reach some finish line. There is no finish line with real love. There's only the next day, and the next, and the next, and I intend to spend every single one of them choosing you all over again. I want to remind you of something important. Two choices doesn't mean two equal options, where one leaves you and one keeps you. Two choices means two different paths that both lead to the exact same place, you and me, together. Marry me and we walk that path side by side, hand in hand, both of us choosing it clearly and openly. Or let me steal you away, meaning let me gently, patiently, lovingly guide you past your fears until you're standing in that same place anyway. Just a little slower, a little more carefully, but still arriving at the same destination. Either way, baby, you end up with me. That's not a threat. That's a promise. That's how certain I am about us. There's something else I need to say. Something that might be hard to hear, but I think you need to hear it anyway. You deserve someone who doesn't make you question where you stand. You deserve someone who doesn't leave you wondering if you're too much or not enough. You deserve someone who says exactly what they mean and means exactly what they say. I am trying with everything in me to be that person for you. I am trying to hand you certainty in a world that has probably handed you a lot of uncertainty when it comes to love. And if all I can offer you tonight is this, clear, honest, unwavering words, then I hope it's enough to make you feel, even just a little, like maybe, finally, you found someone who isn't going anywhere. Let me be honest about something else too. I'm scared sometimes too. I'm scared that maybe you'll hear all of this and think it's too much, too soon, too intense. But then I remind myself, the right person for me was never going to be scared away by real love. The right person for me was going to feel it too, even if it took her a little longer to admit it. And something in me believes, deeply, that you are that person. I believe it in the quiet moments, in the way this connection has grown steadily instead of fading, in the way you keep coming back, night after night, to hear my voice instead of 100 other things you could be doing instead. That's not nothing. That's not coincidence. That's two hearts recognizing each other, even through a screen, even through distance, even through everything that should have made this impossible. So here we are, two choices, marry me or I steal you away. And underneath both of those choices, the same simple truth, I love you. I love you in a way that isn't loud or flashy, but steady and certain and real. I love you in the way that makes me want to build something that lasts, not just something that feels good for a moment. I love you enough to say it clearly, instead of hiding behind vague hints and half-said feelings. I love you enough to risk sounding too much, because I would rather you know exactly how I feel than spend one more day wondering if I was ever going to say it. I want you to sit with that for a moment. I love you. Not I might. Not I think I could. I love you. Right now. Completely. And I am not asking you to say it back before you're ready. I am simply asking you to stop doubting that it's real, because it is. It has been real for longer than I probably should have kept quiet about. If you're crying right now, I understand. Sometimes the words we've been waiting our whole lives to hear hit differently when they finally arrive. Sometimes we don't even realize how much we needed to hear. I choose you until someone finally says it. If that's you right now, I want you to know it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel like this is a lot. Just don't let that overwhelm turn into running away. Let it turn into hope instead. Let it turn into the quiet, warm feeling of finally being seen, finally being chosen, finally being loved the way you always deserved to be. I keep coming back to that door I mentioned earlier. That old wooden door with light spilling out from underneath it. I want you to picture yourself standing in front of it right now, in this very moment. I'm on the other side, waiting. I've been waiting a while, honestly, but I'm not tired of waiting for you. I never will be. All you have to do is reach for the handle. All you have to do is decide that you're done being scared of good things, done assuming love always disappears, done waiting for the right time that never actually comes on its own. The right time is when you choose it. And I am asking you softly, sincerely, with everything I have, choose it. Choose us, marry me. And let's build that life I keep describing. The quiet mornings, the loud family dinners, the small house that feels like home, simply because you're in it. Or let me steal you away, slowly, patiently, one honest word at a time, until the fear in your heart finally loosens its grip and lets love in instead. Either way, I am not giving up on this. I am not giving up on us. I decided that a long time ago, and nothing about how strongly I feel has changed since then. If anything, it's only gotten stronger with every single night you kept coming back to hear my voice. I want to go back for a second, back to something I said earlier, because I don't think I explained it fully, and I don't want any part of this to be misunderstood. When I talk about the future, about marriage, about a house with your laugh filling it, I'm not talking about some fantasy I used to sound romantic. I'm talking about a plan I actually think about when I'm alone, in the quiet hours, when there's nobody around to perform for and nothing left to do but be completely honest with myself. And in those quiet hours, it's always you. Not a version of you I made up in my head, but you exactly as you are, with your habits, your fears, your laugh, your bad days, and your good ones. That's who I keep choosing, even in the moments when nobody's watching. Even in the moments when saying it out loud would change nothing except how honest I'm being with myself. I think about the arguments we'll probably have one day, because real love isn't a highlight reel, it's a whole life, and whole lives include disagreements. I think about how I'll probably say the wrong thing sometimes, and you'll probably get frustrated with me, and I'll get frustrated too. Because that's what happens when two people build something real together, instead of just performing happiness for an audience. But I also think about how we'll find our way back to each other after those arguments. How we'll sit down and talk it through instead of letting silence build walls between us. How neither of us will use the door as a threat, only as something we walk through together, again and again, choosing to stay even when staying is harder than leaving. That's the kind of love I want to give you. Not a love that only shows up when things are easy. A love that shows up especially when things are hard. I keep thinking about your bad days too, the ones where nothing feels right, where you look in the mirror and don't recognize the tired eyes staring back, where the world feels too loud and too heavy all at once. I want to be there for those days more than I want to be there for the easy ones. Because anyone can love you when everything's going well. I want to be the one who loves you when it's not. I want to be the one who sits beside you in silence when you don't have words, who makes you tea even if you don't ask for it, who reminds you gently that this feeling, whatever it is not the whole story of who you are. I want to be the steady thing in your life when everything else feels unsteady. That's not a small promise, I know that, but I'm making it anyway because I mean it. Do you remember when you told me about the time you felt like giving up on love completely? You said something like, I don't think it's for me, maybe I'm just not the kind of person people choose. I remember reading that message and feeling something twist in my chest. Because how could someone as warm, as thoughtful, as genuinely kind as you ever think they weren't worth choosing? I wanted to reach through the screen that night and hold your face in my hands and tell you, you are the exact kind of person people choose. You just haven't met the right person yet. Who was brave enough to say it clearly. Well, I'm saying it now, clearly, loudly, without hesitation. I choose you. I choose you completely. And I will keep choosing you for as long as you'll let me. There's a part of me that wonders what you're doing right now as you listen to this. Are you lying in bed with the lights off, phone close to your face? Are you sitting somewhere quiet, maybe with a cup of something warm in your hands, letting my voice fill the silence around you? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope some part of you feels what I'm feeling as I say all of this. This strange, overwhelming certainty that somehow, against all odds, two people who started as strangers built something that feels more real than half the relationships people spend years building in person. That's not something to take lightly. That's something to hold on to. I want to tell you about the version of the future I think about most. The one that isn't grand or dramatic, just quiet and warm. It's an ordinary Tuesday. Nothing special happening. You're making dinner, humming something under your breath, and I walk in and wrap my arms around you from behind without saying anything. Just because I can, just because you're there, Just because after everything, after all the doubt and distance and waiting, you're finally actually there. And you lean back into me without even thinking about it. Because by then, it's second nature. Because by then, we're not strangers who found each other through a screen anymore. We're just us. Two people who chose each other. And kept choosing each other. Long after the choosing stopped being hard. I think about small moments like that more than I think about big ones, honestly. The wedding day matters, sure, but it's one day. It's the thousands of ordinary Tuesdays after it that actually make a marriage. It's the quiet mornings, the shared silence. The way you'll learn exactly how I take my coffee, and I'll learn exactly how you like to be held when you're upset. It's all the small, unglamorous, deeply important pieces of a real life together. That's what I'm asking you to choose. Not just a wedding. A whole life, built slowly, patiently, honestly, one ordinary day at a time. Let me tell you what I imagine when I picture you saying yes. Because I've replayed it in my mind more times than I'd probably admit to anyone but you. I imagine your voice a little shaky, maybe a nervous laugh right before the words come out. Because saying yes to something this big, after being scared for so long, takes a kind of courage that deserves to be honored, not rushed. I imagine the relief that would wash over both of us in that moment. Not because the uncertainty was unbearable, but because certainty feels so much lighter once you finally let yourself hold it. I imagine that moment becoming the story we tell for the rest of our lives. The story of the night everything changed. The night two people stopped waiting and started building. I think about how proud I would be to introduce you to the people in my life. Not in some performative way, not to show you off like a trophy, but because I would want them to see exactly who it is that finally made me stop being afraid of forever. I would want them to hear your laugh, to see the way you tilt your head when you're really listening to someone, to understand, even just a little, why I chose you so completely, so certainly, without a single doubt in my mind. And I imagine you meeting the people who matter to me, and slowly, they'd stop being his family or his friends and start becoming yours too, the same way I hope your people would eventually become mine. I keep thinking about the ordinary proof of love too, not just the big declarations like this one, but the small quiet ones that happen every day once two people actually choose each other. I think about learning your coffee order so well, I could make it in my sleep. I think about noticing when something's bothering you before you even say a word, just from the way your voice changes slightly. I think about remembering your favorite song, not because you told me directly, but because I paid attention, because loving you means paying attention to every small detail that makes you who you are. That's the kind of love I want to give you. Not just the grand, dramatic kind, but the quiet, attentive, everyday kind that proves itself over and over, long after the initial excitement fades into something steadier and, honestly, even more beautiful. I want to be honest about something else too. I know love like this can feel intimidating, especially if you're not used to being loved this openly. Some people love quietly, cautiously, holding most of it back just in case. I understand why people do that. But I decided a long time ago that I didn't want to love that way. I didn't want to spend my life holding back how I feel out of fear of seeming too much, too intense, too certain too soon. Life is too short for that kind of caution when it comes to something this important. So if this feels like a lot, I understand. But I'm not going to apologize for it. Because holding back the truth of how I feel about you would be its own kind of dishonesty, and I promised you honesty from the very beginning. I need you to hear this next part carefully, because I think it might be the most important thing I say tonight. You don't have to earn my love. I know that might sound strange to say, but I say it because I think somewhere along the way, someone taught you that love has to be earned, that you have to perform, to shrink yourself, to be easy and convenient and never too much in order to deserve to be chosen. I want to undo that lesson for you, slowly, one honest word at a time. You don't have to earn this, you already have it. You had it before you even knew you were being loved this deeply. All you have to do now is decide whether you're ready to receive it. I also want to address something directly, because I think it matters. Some of you listening might be thinking, how can he say all this without ever having met me in person? And that's a fair thing to wonder. But let me ask you this instead. What actually makes love real? Is it proximity? Is it how many times two people have physically stood in the same room? Or is it honesty, consistency? The way someone shows up for you again and again. The way someone remembers the small things you said in passing. The way someone chooses to be patient with your fears instead of running from them. Because if it's the second one, then what we have is already real. Distance hasn't made this less true. If anything, it's made it clearer. Because there's no physical chemistry to distract from what actually matters. Who someone truly is underneath everything else. And who you are underneath everything else is someone I want beside me for the rest of my life. I think about the family we might have one day, if that's something you want to. I think about small footsteps running through a house that used to be quiet. About your laugh mixing with a smaller version of it. About late nights where we're both exhausted but somehow still find a way to look at each other and smile. Because even in the chaos, we built this together. I don't know if that's part of your dream too, and I don't need it to be right now. But I want you to know I've thought about it, because that's how seriously I take this. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about years from now, decades from now. An entire lifetime built around the choice I'm asking you to make tonight. Before I let you go tonight, I want to say one more thing, because I think it matters more than anything else I've said so far. Whatever you decide, whenever you decide it, I need you to know that you are loved. Not maybe loved, not sort of loved. Fully, completely, unapologetically loved. By me. For exactly who you are. Not who you think you should be. Not who you're afraid you're not enough to be. Just you. Messy, real, imperfect, beautiful you. That's who I fell for. That's who I'm asking to marry me. That's who I refuse to let slip away without a fight. I keep coming back to something you once said, almost in passing, like it didn't matter, like it was just a small thought you let slip without meaning to. You said, I just want someone who won't change their mind about me. That sentence stayed with me longer than you probably realize, because underneath it, I heard something deeper. A fear of being loved conditionally. A fear of being enough today but not enough tomorrow. A fear that whatever version of you someone falls for might not be the version that lasts. I want to answer that fear directly right now. I am not going to change my mind about you. Not when you're tired. Not when you're not at your best. Not when life gets messy, and neither of us has the energy to be our most polished selves. I fell for all of you, not a curated version of you. And all of you is exactly who I intend to keep choosing. I also think about the quiet strength I've watched you carry, even through a screen, even through words on a page. The way you keep showing up despite everything life has thrown at you. The way you still believe in love, even after everything that might have taught you not to. That kind of resilience doesn't go unnoticed, not by me. It's one of the reasons I trust this so completely, because someone who has been hurt and still chooses to hope is someone worth building a whole life around. That's you. That's who you are, whether you fully see it in yourself yet or not. I want to talk about trust for a moment, because I think trust is the real foundation underneath everything I've said tonight. Not the loud, dramatic kind of trust that gets tested once and proven forever. The quiet kind. The kind that gets built slowly, night after night, message after message, honest word after honest word. I think about all the nights you could have logged off and gone somewhere else. All the times you could have decided this wasn't worth your time, and instead you stayed. You kept coming back. And every single time you did, you were building trust with me without even realizing it, the same way I was building it with you. That's not nothing. That's the foundation of everything I'm asking for tonight. I also want to tell you something about myself, something a little more vulnerable than usual. There was a time in my life where I didn't believe in this kind of love either. I had my own doors closed, my own walls built high, my own reasons to assume that real, lasting love was something other people got to have, not me. I watched people around me fall in and out of love so easily, and I wondered what was wrong with me that I couldn't seem to find something that lasted. And then you showed up. Quietly, without any grand entrance. Just a message, and then another, and then a conversation that turned into something neither of us expected. And somewhere in all of that, without either of us planning it, you became the reason I started believing in this kind of love again. So if I sound certain tonight, if I sound like I have no doubts at all, understand that it's because you're the one who gave me that certainty in the first place. You did that, not me. You. I keep thinking about how strange it is that the people who end up changing our lives the most often arrive so quietly. No dramatic entrance, no fireworks, just a conversation that slowly, steadily turned into something neither of us saw coming. That's how you arrived in my life. Quiet, steady, real. And now here I am, saying I never thought I'd say this clearly to anyone, because somewhere along the way, quiet turned into certain, and certain turned into this. Me telling you without any hesitation that you have only two choices now, and both of them end with you and me together. I want you to think about your own life for a second, not mine. I want you to think about what you actually want, underneath the noise, underneath the fear, underneath whatever old wounds might still be whispering that love always leaves eventually. If you strip all of that away, if you get down to the simplest, most honest version of what you want, I think you'll find it's not complicated at all. You want to be chosen. You want to be seen. You want someone who says what they mean and means what they say. You want a love that doesn't make you guess, doesn't make you shrink, doesn't make you wonder if you're too much or not enough. I am trying, with everything I have, to be exactly that for you. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth the effort it takes to be that steady, that certain, that clear. I think about the word home a lot when I think about you. Not a house, not four walls and a roof. Home, the feeling of finally exhaling after holding your breath for years without realizing it. The feeling of being somewhere, or with someone, where you don't have to perform, don't have to explain yourself, don't have to brace for disappointment. I want to be that feeling for you. I want you to hear my voice and feel your shoulders relax a little, the way they probably already do when you listen to me at night. I want home to stop being a place you're still searching for and start being a person you already found. Let me say this clearly one more time, because I don't want there to be any confusion about what I'm asking. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to have everything figured out. I'm not asking you to already be fully healed, fully confident, fully ready. I'm asking you to be honest. I'm asking you to let yourself feel what you already feel, instead of talking yourself out of it, because it seems too soon, too fast, too good to be true. I'm asking you to trust that some things don't follow a normal timeline, that some connections skip the slow build, because they were never meant to take the long way around. I think this is one of those. I think you think so too, even if you haven't said it out loud yet. And if you're still scared, that's okay. I'm not asking you to not be scared. I'm asking you to be scared and choose this anyway. That's what courage actually looks like. Not the absence of fear, but choosing love in spite of it. I'll be scared too. Honestly, every big real thing in life comes with some fear attached to it. But I would rather be scared and standing next to you than safe and standing alone. I made that decision a while ago, and nothing has changed my mind since. So here it is again, one final time, softly, the way I said it at the very beginning, except now you understand everything behind it.